So I'm here to bring an overview from Gaia about what is to come, what have been our earthly learnings, and how to navigate this next phase in our earthly existence. I'm Sharon Martin from Inner Sanctum Studios, and I am a messenger and a channel for Gaia, who sits here behind me, this painting of her, and I will reference aspects of that as we go. So she says this is not a time for fear, but to sit in centeredness and balance, to be grounded and connected to self, to the earth, to one's own divinity, the God spark within your heart space. To know that truth is coming, truth that will be shocking and revelationary. We will each learn things that we did not know of or about. And we must know it is all for good. We will get through this, and we do that by being in connection with one another, by doing this together. It will be better, it will be more magnificent, the heaven on earth that many of us have always believed would come. So we will speak about how to get through this later. So Gaia says we are moving from a world that is embroiled and held in competition for resource, which drives behaviours that create separation from one another and from nature, as well as creating energies of fear and lack and greed. She says we are moving from polarity and duality to expanded views and neutrality, from notions of right and wrong, good, evil, light, dark, the sitting in judgment of one another, to expanded views and qualities of acceptance and allowance. We are moving to a world of peace, of love and harmony, one where we sit in cooperation, collaboration and co-creation with one another and all sentient beings on this planet. A planet where we strive and thrive on service to others, where we live in a knowingness that our world is limitless, that we are held in the most extraordinary divine love and in abundance, where we are sitting in the energy of unity consciousness. We are moving to a time where we are deeply connected to our own divinity and to all sentient beings living in abundant flow of all that is. Our DNA stranding is being reconnected and reactivated back to 12 strands, and then we will move beyond that. So at the beginning of 2020, which was a 4-year, the 4 is all to do with breaking out of the box, laying in new foundations and seeking peace and harmony in the heart. And Gaia said that this year of 2020, it would be one where the foundations would be ripped out. She spoke of this about structure and institutions and said that initially we would see change or a change in personnel and in policy, and that also the year of 2020, that truth would be revealed, truth from within self. So things would rise up that we have hidden away from ourselves, and we would be being confronted and asked to attend to or heal or look at and integrate, some maybe painful aspects or shadow aspects of self. And that truth would be revealed from within humanity and the earth, and there is more of this to come. We have seen the kind of edges of it, but there's a lot more of that to come, and some of it is going to be very, very challenging. And that's why we need to be together, to stick together, to hold one another through this. So this was her kind of view on what happened in our three-dimensional world and how that affected us. So she said this year, this is the learnings from 2020, has seen us move through various phases that have assisted us to come into greater connection to self. Remember, we went into lockdown. We had a lot less distractions. We had time to contemplate, to connect. So this deeper examination of values, a letting go of what is not important, with a reduction in consumerism being a main shift. A a reshuffling and a prioritising of what is important for each of us individually, as families and as communities. We've developed a greater sense of community and renewed practice of sharing resource. There has been time for contemplation of how, as individuals, we impact the planet. We're now being moved to a place where we are being asked to stop interfering with nature, and to learn a new way of being with nature, or an old way, to reinvigorate the long-held knowledge of how to come into greater alignment with the ebbs and flows, the rhythms and cycles of nature. And we witnessed that, didn't we? When we were in lockdown, we watched as the earth's flows and water and land, it purified itself because we stopped interfering with it. We stopped putting things into it. So we saw how, and this is what Gaia has told me from, early on when I started connecting into her, that nature can cycle and take care of itself if we stop interfering. So this knowledge, it exists and is held by and practiced by many of our indigenous peoples. And in the Western world, we must learn anew and revive this knowledge. You probably have had many changes over the 2020 year, or they are still to come, regarding location, relationships and jobs, because we as individuals and humanity as a collective, we've moved through the completion of major cycles, and we're beginning to settle into the new missions for our new earth. So what's been happening in our bodies? Our multi-dimensional selves are coming in as we clear out density, giving us greater access to higher aspects of self. So these are all of the sort of skills and attributes, experiences that we've had through time, space and dimensions. And we now, as we are moving out some of our density, it's allowing space within our cellular memory for these to return or arise or become in a place of being able to be recognised and assimilated, because we've shifted in our dimensional frequency. So in my work with my clients, Gaia has been bringing through new or upgraded soul sounds and song, and many have been having symbols placed into them and reactivations of old connections, new initiations and memories of being an initiate in past life groups from various cultures and places. As well, the codes that are coming in at this time, they seem to be being housed in the Earth Star crystalline chakra, which sits about 600 millimeters beneath your feet and under the earth. So they are being catalyzed and moved up through the tailbone or through the feet from there. They're presenting as diamond codes, as well as packets or seeds of information and or for healing. They're coming in as healing to the bones and tissues, as brain activations, as heart openings and third eye activations. These are the common things that I'm witnessing in my clients, and also often ancient wisdom and knowledge and gifts being returned. So people being reminded of a past life where they held a particular power or a particular set of skills, and that was going to be coming in to be used in this lifetime. I've been watching the DNA activation and warming of the spinal fluids, the Christos oils moving in through the crown chakra, or the spine rising up from the tailbone. The human body continues its process of transmutation and transformation, releasing density, receiving higher frequency, and alchemizing into more crystalline structure in the body. The shifting from this silicon carbon based into a crystalline structure. This can also be referred as transmutation, of course, the action of changing or being changed into another form, because that is literally what is happening. We're moving from this very solid three-dimensional physical form that is dense, and we're moving into a lighter form, a crystalline aspect, one which has less density, higher frequency, higher dimensional field, a higher dimensional field in the morphogenic field around us, and then also, that takes us into a higher level of consciousness. My clients are expressing a lot of purging going on in their lives and in their bodies. It's quite extreme for some vomiting, diarrhea, dizziness, feeling nauseous, headaches, muscle aches. And whilst these are all current symptoms of ascension, it is important to get these things checked by your doctor if you are at all concerned. Don't hesitate to do that. So all that is occurring in ways where there's this ongoing shift through the phases and trends, this morphing from carbon silica to crystalline liquid light, releasing density along the way. That's the kind of general synopsis of what is going on in our bodies. So the less density in the body, the more light can be held. The higher the frequency can be reached and maintained. And so this ongoing spiral of ascension back to the fifth dimension and beyond. And you could see the spiral in the painting behind me. Light inside the body will begin to create a visible radiance or glow. The body will feel lighter, spines will become slightly more open and elongated. And what you need to know is that your body is your temple. Please treat it as such. Your heart is your guide. Go there for your answers. Your mind is a powerful tool and processor. And come into this place of using all three in balance and in harmony to guide your decisions and directions. Remember, we are ascending with our physical form this time. Remember, this has never occurred in the history of the multiverse. That is why we have so much interest, support and assistance from our galactic brothers and sisters. They're observing us and overseeing the Earth transition. In the past, ascension to a new dimension or dimensional frequency has occurred through the leaving the energetic or the light body, required exiting the physical form. But we're not doing that this time. We're taking it with us, so we have to transform it in order for it to basically not explode. So we have to transform it so we can move into this new energetic existence. It's why many of us came at this time, to be holding space for this incredible moment when the planet and humanity ascend to a higher dimensional frequency without losing their form. Remember, many wanted to come, but you were chosen. You can do this. What's happening with the mind? Well, as the 3D matrix, this third dimensional world of form that exists as the reality for all of us on some level, but it is beginning to fade away, to defrag, to dissolve, to pixelate. And as this happens more and more, the mind will take on a different function. So remembering will become less important. Knowingness or clear cognizance will become stronger. The mind will have greater clarity, as it will not be filled with unnecessary thought and trivia. As the human form attends to its wounds, its trauma, its programming and beliefs and patterns of self, of family lines, the mind becomes more freed. The stories, past and future, become subjugated by being fully present in the sensory experiences of the present moment. I really loved that when she gave me that sentence. So this focus of being centered in present moment feelings, the experience of that, it tends to become more rooted in joy and love and laughter or high frequency emotions, and allows the mind to take on a different role, because the mind is not going to the drama of it, it's not attaching all the stories and narrative, it's not going back into the past or zipping off into the future and creating a whole lot of sort of mayhem in the mind. So as each move, you, me, each of us move into present moment thought, feeling and action, the mind is not distracted. by emotional narratives and stories from the past or future. So we begin to examine things through the sensory experience of the body, not through all of those sort of nouns and adjectives of emotional attachments. The giving a story to something about how we feel, but it's not really a feeling, it's an emotion, and it's attached through the mind. So do it through the feelings in the body. Where is that being felt, and what does that feeling feel like? The sensory experience. So she said we're moving into becoming a more authentic you, or a more authentic self. As you each move more powerfully into your authentic being, the need to please others lessens. This does not equate with selfishness or self-centeredness. It merely is a shift to a space where each recognises their own inherent right and need to attend to self. And this occurs without running anybody else down or over. You become your authentic self, standing in your own light, in your own power, without the need for agreements and compliance. And yet this does fit with peace and cohesiveness and care of others and the planet. You know, the mantra, what others think of me is none of my business. That comes strongly to mind at this time. So greed and selfishness, lack, power over, control, all are lower level emotions, and the patterns and paradigms that are associated with those things, they leave us. Our consumerist desires are severely reduced. We become more attuned to our inner being and needs. We become more aligned with the earth and her rhythms and cycles. Our ability to converse with elementals and other sentient beings, such as plants and animals, returns. A big part of our change is truth. Our ability to cognize truth is heightened. Lying and deceit, it ceases as it loses traction and has no effect. When it's perceived easily by others energetically, then lying has no outcome. It cannot be used as manipulation. It cannot be used in that way when everyone knows it is not the truth. So we begin to read one another and situations and language energetically, both written, spoken, and ultimately, Gaia is saying, through thought or mind, perceiving information through the subtle body, reading one another's minds, and many beings already have this ability. So imagine the impact and the effect of that. We're really going to come into alignment with self in a big way, in a big hurry, when we can read one another's minds. We'll really clean up our act. So we begin to live in harmony with self, with others, and with the earth. We're moving back there, baby. We are moving back to peace, to harmony, to love, to truth, to joy, to paradise, to heaven on earth. We're going to have new patterns come in as well. So you will, she says, Gaia says, you'll begin to notice new patterns in self, a recognition of feeling a beautiful equilibrium in all the accompanying emotions of peace, balance, joy, love, centeredness, and expansion. And you know, when this becomes your way of being, it's really good. It's quickly kind of noticed, you know. You notice when your frequency gets lowered, and then you feel a bit out of sync. You feel a bit off, and so you seek to get back there. You want to reach for that higher state of being. And so you will tend to develop daily practices that enable you to reach those higher frequencies, to start your day off by setting those frequencies to a high set point, and then you'll find ways of maintaining that state of being. That will be paramount to maintain that to all your levels of wellness of being. That includes your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual and social. It becomes very addictive. You'll seek the means to gain and maintain it through meditative exercises, which can take on many forms, of course, through physical movement, the breath, food and diet, where and what and with whom you spend time and how much time you devote to that, it will change. You will shift and adapt that to when you see how your frequency can be affected. You'll manage that differently. So all of this shifts the balance of your world as you seek to understand self, and this becomes integrated and embodied into your beingness. Your individual beingness and energetic vibration connects to others, to their templates and energetic platforms. And then together we can hold and enhance others and their vibratory space and frequencies. So this is a cycle that enables us to move up the ascension spiral individually and collectively. Now we're up to 2021, where she says time speeds up. Expect the first 3 months of 2021 to be and feel as fast or faster than the last 3 months of 2020 as our fifth dimensional spin accelerates. The dross is discarded more easily. Think centrifuge machine. Our sun as well becomes more nourishing for our higher dimensional form. It gives us greater sustenance because it's had an upgrade itself. Cells in our body and the planet itself change direction of spin and speed. And how I've been shown this phenomenon is through observing the fields, the morphogenic fields, and by standing in portals in significant ley lines around the world, where I noted that the third and fourth dimensions have a clockwise spin, and the fifth is an anti-clockwise in its spin. And this phenomenon also connects to the different directions of the torus in our cells, in our energetic heart, in our body, and that of the planet. We are each the micro and the macro through all levels. So what is occurring in our body is also occurring in the planetary body, which is how I watch the earth and our bodies being cleared out through a whole series of nets and clearings over a period of a couple of years. So this is also accelerating in speed and momentum as we shift more and more into or back into the quantum field. So that can also be called the 0 point. That's the very still point of creation, the very center point from which all things can come. And we get there very much by being in the breath and in the present moment. So this creates this super phenomenon effect, which links into the way in which the earth is powered and the changes in our morphogenic fields and in the electromagnetic frequencies. So have a look at my video on the pyramids on my YouTube channel for another aspect of information around that. You will become, and I will become, much more coherent and aligned with each of our impacts on the earth and its many aspects. So this will drive consumerist patterns and create massive change. You may change your job or work if you have not already, to work that aligns with your truth, joy and well-being. And this is also likely to be linked to your mission, purpose and passion. And many people have been receiving their new missions over this last year, and they will keep coming in. So I want to speak to you a little bit about manifesting. I want to appeal to you. If you are a great manifester, please help the people around you. If you are a great manifester, reach out and teach the others and help them to manifest and manifest things on their behalf if you're really good at it. So we're moving into this time frame for manifestation, which is much shorter, and that's because we're moving more into the quantum field. So what you're putting out shows up much more quickly as our quantum field comes further into play and time accelerates. So you get what you focus on, whether you want or do not want it. So it's time to get refined in your thoughts. Look at it based on the evidence you're getting and what you have got. And what you have focused on or energized, that's what you're getting or what you've got. If it's not what you want, then you might need to examine and shift your thoughts, words and actions to align with what you want. So structures and organisations, that is going to be a big continuing theme for this year of 2021. We will continue to witness truth arising, and this will happen on a grander scale now. Structures and organisations in our world will become more visibly lacking in integrity and honesty, and seen clearly for the self-serving entities they are. They will be called to be accountable, relevant and transparent. We will see that they have used and abused us in many ways. These bastions of our three-dimensional world will be required to more and more, or they will cease to exist as more of humanity gains greater clarity of how they've been used and abused and taken advantage of. So some of these institutions will cease to exist at all, and all of them will be required to change. So all these decisions will be made and taken from a higher, wider, deeper perspective. We will witness unprecedented change in all facets and fields, the micro and the macro, the individual, groups and the planet. We will return to and begin to step into, once again, being guardians of Gaia, attuned with nature and the well-being of all sentient beings. We will become more aligned with the nurturing energies of the mother principles. So something that happened right at the beginning of January was this whole experience of this new breath. So right now we are going through an adjustment to come into this whole new way of being in our bodies. It was shown to me like this giant step forward, this giant breath. It kind of allows this new breath, a bigger, longer, deeper, more expanded breath. And with my clients, I'm noticing that that's occurring through the central vertical core. It's feeling more open, wider, clearer, cleaner. And that expansion will grow in many ways as we become more comfortable in these new energies, Gaia says. As our gifts open and as we expand into being more comfortable in our new bodies. Much like becoming comfortable with the new or with the unfamiliar anywhere. This is going to be going on around us in so many ways. We just have to learn to be with it, and being present in the moment is another way to empower that. So we will move through the process of our breath becoming deeper, this expansion of the breath, and this is going to become expanding in our capacity, so our ability to do and hold greater things. We may take a little time, a new way of being in our body, as our bodies change, as well as does our way of being in the world, as does our world, our earth. So in my clients, I've been really feeling that more open and more flowing and greater expansion. So on the 4th of January, when I went to visit Gaia in her cave in the morning, as I do most mornings, as I went in there, she said to me, "All that glitters is gold." And she went like that and waved her hand around her cave, and this is her cave that she's sitting in, this base of this platform of amethyst surrounded by sapphire and emerald, and all around the walls were these sort of organic gemstones with this glowing light, but they were all at heart level. So they were emitting this golden glow at heart height, and because we're having our hearts opened even more and filled with this golden light, she says, "It is a beautiful day. We are new in all ways. It's exciting to say this is ongoing till May." So we're going through this greater expansion in our bodies until then, and then we'll have a bit of another shift in direction come May, but there's enough today to talk about. So now I want to talk about January, February, March of this year. She says there'll be continued acceleration and expansion, a lot of catalytic energies like mini explosions or sparks that awaken new perceptions and shift paradigms. More people will have truth revelations, third eye openings, and awareness that there is more vastness, expansiveness for our world and in ourselves as these vibratory awakenings occur in the physical body and create frequency harmonics that enable more confluence with our internal and external world. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. It's this idea of, that what is on the inside is on the outside, what is above is below, what is on the left is on the right. And I know that there's a little paragraph about that further on in my notes here. So on March the 21st, that will be the equinox. That's a significant moment in our calendar this year. She says we're going to have another big jump, a leveling up. And the imagery that I was being shown looked as though a lot of people are held in their higher alignment at this time, and that they are in order or sequence and are surrounded with a radiant light. So the journey of the human collective at this point takes on greater momentum. Also, more of our men are awakened to their inner divinity and their purpose. And so this leads our world into taking greater action. So this is towards the end of March. And then just some key short things here at this time around the end of March. New transitioning monetary systems are in place. Individual accountability to and for humanity and the earth is pulled up to a new level. We begin to see visible changes to our Earth's physical vessel and environment. Poisoning, she says, stops in the air, water, and in our food. New energy systems become more visible and viable. So that's quite a lot that we'll be witnessing there. There are some aspects of our new way of being and coming together that are not set in timing, but they have to drop in a given sequence. So A must occur before B, before C, etc. And this particularly applies to the coming together of divine partners and counterparts. So there's a given orchestrated sequence of this that it comes into a wheel pattern. That's how it looks to me. Then it sits in layers and it locks into place. And this is a key component for the earth shifting into a massive up-leveling of consciousness, because when these partnerships are all in place, the energetic fields are exponentially expanded, and this affects the consciousness of all. And I have to say that I have been given information both from Gaia and from God, who have spoken about the interference of the dark aspects in our world and stretching this out and running interference to stop this happening, because this is a major kind of point, really. It's a major point in the existence of our moving into higher consciousness when this happens. So there's been lots of running interference on that. So we move then into the earth, our planet. Breathes another breath of expansion, and it's at this point. So this is the equinox, that we stop, we breathe, we contemplate, and we connect. So that feels like this sort of the collective of humanity, really. Old structures fall away. More. Many people begin to see a bigger picture, to have greater hope and a positive future. More truth is revealed, but by that the resistance to change begins to dissipate on a global level. A lot of things leave our vocab or our vocabulary, such as racism and sexism. We see the end of that. So Gaia has shown me that there are 4 waves of awakening groups. The 4th wave has not yet begun awakening, but this will begin to occur shortly. I want to talk to you about the ascension spiral. So over here in the painting you'll see the ascension spiral. The ascension spiral holds a double helix. It holds 12, 13 strands of DNA. It holds the ascension flame, and it holds the pattern of the flower of life. And the reason that there are 13 DNA strands painted in there is because Gaia instructed me to do that. So it's to indicate and to show that we're not just moving back to 12 stranding of DNA, reconnection, reactivation, but beyond that there's a whole new cycle. But we're moving back to 12 first, and then we'll move in to 13 and beyond that. So that's why that was painted in there. You'll see the paradox of her sitting in the centre of the earth, holding the ascension spiral and holding the planet. And really, you know, that's the paradox of it all. We are also in that paradox of seeing all of this within us, what is reflected to us in our external world. So the inner and the outer, just like us, the paradox of her holding the earth and being inside the earth. So we are moving from a stage where seeing is believing to a stage where we know things, and that we believe and know that we can create our own reality, that we see on the inner planes, on the inside, in our hearts and our minds and our third eye vision. And that we know that when you see it there and you hold space for its creation and you believe it, that's the difference. You see it and on the inner planes, and then you believe it because you're the master of your own destiny. So we are going through a massive dimensional shift. Maybe you could see it like an invisibility cloak. The same principle as when an aircraft propeller, which is very, very solid in form, it appears to become invisible as it increases in speed. It's the same effect. Our earth will have pulsating fields as we will in our bodies. And the inner earth crystalline grid lines are already pulsating and have been over the last 18 months or so. I think, if I remember correctly, maybe it's a bit longer than that. And I have also, over the last 8 months or so, been watching this hexagonal overlay that's like this gridded net present in the skies in the early morning. So when I open my eyes and I look out, it's as though there's this whole net made of hexagonal shapes. It's fine blue lines, and it sits over the sky. And so I can't see it inside the house, and I can only see it when I look through the window. It's interesting. I've been playing with it, but that sits there early in the morning in the sky. And so I'm showing that this is a structure that's becoming more important in our world, and it represents a 6-dimensional structure and connections to that, and we will discover more about that. So the human body as a conduit is in process of all of these energetic transmissions. They're coming in as diamond codes in rainbow plasmic field or rainbow light. Some of them coming in as electromagnetic waves, coming in through the energetic fields, through the skin, through the chakra systems, and up from the crystalline earth star chakra, which is also the vibratory field of the earth. What do you need to do? Well, you need to know there's nothing to fear. It's going to be incredible. Be the observer. How do you do that? Well, you have a look at things. You just watch them without needing to believe or understand them. You just watch and accept and be in the place of, okay, well, that's interesting. And try not to place judgment, opinion, or story or narrative on it. Don't attach the emotions to it. Go to the sensory body. Oh, where am I feeling that? Oh, I'm feeling that in my heart. Breathe into the space in which you're feeling it. Breathe love into that space. Allow it to move through the body. And just don't attach to it. Don't make judgment about it. Just allow it to move and flow. We are going to be showing things that are shocking. We will be moved. We'll be moved to tears. We might be moved to rage or anger. And we just have to hold one another through that. Be grounded. Connect into the earth. She loves you. Get in nature. Get your feet in the water. Get your feet in the bush. Get your back up against a tree. Sleep when you can and when it's needed. You know, our bodies are working very hard at this transmutation of our cellular structure. Sleep. Well, yeah, it's a big thing, exhaustion. So you just have to attend to yourself as best you can. Use the breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Longer, deeper. It doesn't have to be stronger, but just longer and deeper. Be present right here in this moment. This is what is occurring for me. This is what I'm witnessing, I'm observing, I'm seeing, I'm feeling. That's it. Not how I felt about it yesterday. Not the thing that happened to me last week. Not the thing that happened to me in childhood. Present right now. Be hydrated. We are going through the most extraordinary time. You know, maybe you look at me and you think, oh, why are you so happy about it? Because I am. It's just, I see it. Gaia shows it to me. I've seen our future Earth. I've seen how it looks as this magnificent, golden, glowing, pulsating planet. And by the way, one of the things that, if you haven't watched a whole lot of my stuff, that's going to be happening is as we move further along, we're going to have this experience of aureola, borealis, I'm not sure that I've got that right, in our skies in the day and in the night, which I think will be a little bit special and magnificent for a while. So we are going to experience a lot of change and shift. We must be the observer. We must know, and I'm telling you, we are going to get through this. So really we're heading to this midpoint of 2025, and there'll be a lot cleaned up, cleared out, changed over by then. And then we'll move through, you know, another half a dozen years or so to be in our new golden era. So I invite you to hold space for others. There will be many around you who will finally hear and be shown things, aspects and information that you have tried to speak to them about. They weren't ready. Each awakens to the beat of their own drum and the timing they orchestrated before they came here. So try, please, please, try to hold loving compassion for them and for yourself. We will each be challenged and confronted with unknown and difficult to watch, to know, to acknowledge. Please avoid the "I told you so," even though it will be very tempting. Be in the loving space of sitting beside them. Say, I know, it's a lot, but we will get through this, and it will all be amazing. You can talk to me about any of it. I'll sit with you, and it will be amazing. So I know this is a long video and there's a lot of information, but I wanted to get this out to you, and I send you so much love from my heart and from the heart of Gaia, and she holds us so deliciously, beautifully, deeply and lovingly, and she loves you. So I will see you again soon.